Hey everyone, it's Tim, aka Turbo BB. Today I've got another flashlight review for you, and I'm covering Shadow's TC350. I did receive these shadow lights a while back, so they did arrive in these generic boxes that really don't have any labels on them other than, again, a generic sticky one that states the model number as well as which version, a cool white, or if I'm not mistaken, there's also a neutral white available. The included accessories was a short lanyard, which you can attach to the lanyard attachment ring here, and as well as a replacement glass and its corresponding O-ring, and then 2 replacement O-rings. This was one of their more recent launches, and it's a single cell 18650 size light that does feature a single XML U2 and a texture reflector. And as you can see, it's got this nice stainless steel bezel on the top, so it could help. It's for both aesthetics as well as, I guess, protection in case you drop it on the bezel side. Now overall, it's a fairly compact light with decent heatsink fins here. I didn't really measure too high a temperature during my runtime testing. It is claimed to output 600 lumens, which I did verify. Actually, slightly above that. It actually starts off a little slight tick above 750 and gradually drops down to around 730s or so. So that's pretty much what I got. It runs decently regulated for a while before gradually tapering off. Now again, my runtime chart will be in my full written review. Now there is a tactical ring that you could slide forward and aft to help adjust your grip, I suppose, for, again, more secure. Although I do feel kind of not really necessary in this, because you do have the flare from here. Although I guess if you slot it here, it does provide additional grip for your hands. Now, the main thing though is that it does allow the use of cigar grip, which I do like to employ from time to time. Now you'll notice that the side switch does feature a nice stainless steel bezel surrounding it, which adds a nice aesthetic touch to it. And the collar around the switch does sort of serve, with its 4 flat sides, does sort of serve as a anti-roll ring of sorts. Although not the greatest, but not too bad either. Peering underneath the head, there is a spring on the positive side, so it does allow the use of flat top cells, and this end is anodized as well, so you could lock out the light on either end, either the head or via the tail cap. Now you may have noticed the SHADOW TC500 and TC750X lurking in the corner here, and the reason for that is because these lights overall are leggable. Now what that means is that I can actually take the tube out from here and use this tube on the TC350, although I haven't confirmed that it can in fact run on 2 cells or not. But if you saw my TC750X review, you will know that this tube will run on the TC750X, and likewise this tube will work on its bigger brother, the TC500, and vice versa. But again, I don't know that the TC350 can actually run on 2 cells. Now to demonstrate this, here is the TC350's body on the TC500's head, and as mentioned, it will function in this format. TC500 does feature the exact same interface as the TC350, so let's make it a little interesting compact light that is just overall a little bit narrower than the JM26, but of course in this configuration with a shorter runtime. And here is the TC350's tube on the 750X, and in this configuration it does require 2 cell to run, because I haven't been able to get the 750X to run on a single cell. But as you can see, it turns into a little mighty mic capable of outputting 1200 lumens or so, and is fully functional. Now in this config, I do have it running on 2 18350 cells. But overall, it does show there is some compatibility, at least in the Shadow family, at least amongst the 750X, the TC500, and the TC350. So the SHADOW TC350 is controlled by a master on-off switch here. If this is off, the side switch will not function at all. So, and if you want to actually lock out the light, you could just twist the tail cap slightly, oops, I guess sufficiently, to ensure that it doesn't come on. Now there are 3 modes. Once it comes on, it will always default to high. and then cycles through medium, low, and at any point if you would like to access strobe, you double click. But as you will note, it actually cycles to the next level first before it goes into strobe. Now, because the TC350 does utilize a texture reflector, overall that provides it with a pretty smooth beam. I currently have the exposure locked at f2.8 and 1/400th of a second. I'm going to start from the tip here so you could actually see the beam pattern. And you can see that there's no distinct rings of Saturn, like they like to call it. It's just an overall pretty smooth beam with a nice transition from the hot spot out to the spill. Now that is in high, it's in medium, and that's in low. Now the overall spill I've measured to be about roughly 70 degrees, and again, because it does utilize that texture reflector, the center hotspot is not that distinctly clear here, but I would guesstimate that at least the intense portion to be roughly 20 degrees or so, and the wider broad portion, which probably is not quite visible on the camera, is about roughly 40 degrees or so. Overall fit and finish is quite good, and again, like I said, if you've read a few of my other shadow lights, you'll notice that I wasn't too crazy about one of their initial releases, which was an old JM07, but the more recent batches have definitely improved quite a bit in terms of the overall quality. Now, would I rate it in the upper echelon of super high quality manufacturers like, for instance, Nikkor or Sunway Man or Zebra Light? No, it's not quite in that tier, but it's not too far behind either. Now, it does feature square cut threads, so it does screw on smoothly, but overall it's doesn't quite have that same quality feel as certain other lights. Now, that could be a matter of the anodizing, which overall isn't too bad. I haven't found any blemishes in it. Also, looking into these sharp crevices here, there were none missing that I could find. And those are typically areas where, you know, if there's poor anodizing process, they would be missing from the sharp corners and whatnot. Now, the laser etching is fairly nice and sharp with no blotchiness in between. And overall, anodizing has like sort of like an oily finish to it. I actually prefer matte finish, but of course that's subjective, right? That's just my personal opinion, so some people may particularly like this. In conclusion, I find that the TC350 is overall a very solidly built light. Again, quality is way better than the original JM07s, although, like I said, it still could stand to use a little bit, but of course I'm being very nitpicky here because I'm accustomed to just, you know, super high quality lights. But it's an aesthetically pleasing light in an overall very compact form factor. That tactical ring does allow cigar grip use, and overall, like I said, it's a pretty solid release from Shadow. If there was anything that I would change about it, would perhaps be the interface. So again, I just feel like if you're trying to cycle through the modes quickly, I find that strobe is a little too easy to engage, right? So you do have to take it a little easy and keep that in mind so that it doesn't accidentally activate strobe. But beyond that, again, overall, a very solid light from Shadow. And that concludes this review. As part of FTC disclosures, the SHADOW TC350 was provided by sbflashlights.com for review. Thanks again for watching.